This watch, though, was worn with a black dial. So then we talk about restoration or not, or what happened. This was worn with a black dial. No restoration happened, just time, light, humidity, and magic happened, and it became, we call it tropicalized when this happened, a tropical brown dial. That is not just like one constant color. In that case, it's from dark brown to lighter in the middle. So it's really like goes from mocha to caramel.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode on the Tea and Tickers channel. It's part 2 of our coverage of the Phillips Watch Auction 2022 from Geneva. Today we have the absolute privilege and honour of talking to Clara Kessi, who you all know from the Phillips Auction House in Geneva. We spoke to Clara a short while back and we agreed to give her our 3 favourite pieces from the catalogue, and she would kindly go through them and any questions we have on them. So without further delay, I'll bring Clara into the room. Hello, Clara. How are you doing?
Hello, Clara.
Welcome to the show, and thank you very much for coming on.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How are you doing? Okay?
Oh, no problem.
I'm great, thanks. Looking forward to the auction next week on the 5th and the 6th of November.
Yeah, excellent. I'll be giving that coverage, so I'll be covering the auction both days on this channel. Excellent, thank you.
Yep. Okay. So before we start, we're just going to do a quick wrist check because we know you're a watch collector. So I think I've sort of seen what you have anyway. But for the viewers, could we just see what's on the wrist, Clara? Ladies first, or yourself first?
Sure, with pleasure. I didn't have to put it on time because it set itself automatically, so it was just the perfect pick before starting the show. It's
nice.
FP Journe Elegant.
Oh, wow, beautiful. That is elegant, well, isn't it? Wow, that is lovely, that, yes.
It is very light, very versatile. It looks sporty on a rubber strap, and it has the tortue case, which I like, which is also very elegant and classical. So it's like a bit of a hybrid, like me. I like that.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, great. FP Journe, great brand. Very hard to get, obviously, but
extremely hard.
Yeah, today is very hard. Yeah.
Oh, me? Okay. I have, of course, the Tudor FXD, what most people kind of know me for now at the moment, you know. It's been off the wrist a few days, but it's never too long before it goes back on the wrist. And that'll be staying with me for a long time, I think.
Excellent.
Marvelous.
Andy.
Ooh, so Tudor also, but it is a 1973 Tudor Submariner with a really nice,
very nice
dial, but it's very difficult to see on the camera.
Yes,
beautiful.
And palm.
So me, I am wearing my Daytona bimetal white dial, which everyone has seen.
Yeah, what you're known for.
Clara will know quite well as well. Yeah.
Yes,
love
absolutely. Marvelous. Excellent. Okay, so could we ask you, please, Clara, to go through the watches? I think we'll do this in each per person as such. So I've got my 3. So I think we'll start off, please, with lot number 106.
106. Do you mind if I go through my own catalogue?
Don't mind at all. Absolutely not. No,
please do.
We're starting with high value in a big top lot. Good pick, John.
Well,
let's put it this way. Lot 106 is not for the beginner collector. It's a very high-end timepiece that people look for it for years before acquiring one. It is a Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, so classical chronograph from Rolex, highly collectible. This is a reference 6263, which means it has screw down pusher to have this oyster, which means waterproof case, and it has black acrylic insert in the bezel. So very delightful. This watch, I mean, there's plenty of things to say. First thing, it has a Paul Newman dial, so a tropical dial, which is different than the other one. It has those lollipops hands in the registers, and it has this two-tone dial, so white and black. Could be three-tone as well. Sometimes white, black, red, going all around. Could be black, white, red. Here it's white background with black registers, so we nickname it the Panda. Panda are not so easily to find, especially in that condition. I mean, the dial is breathtaking. We call it a Mark II dial. So then there are different variants of dial. This is a Mark II dials because the font is in serif. And what else could I tell you? T Swiss T at the bottom at 6 o'clock. You could see it because it's using tritium, so you see it's an evolution. The loom plots are completely round, they're full, they're generous, so it's really good quality. The case is equally exceptional. The bezel as well, there's no damage, no blemish, and it's still the original bezel. With this, you can also compare. The 2 has a little knee, so it's 2 and then a bit square, so that's original. It's the early bezels. And if you look at the screw-down pushers, there's also plenty of screw-down pushers. Those ones are, the Italian would say, the mille righe. The mille righe pushers, they're not very dented, so they slide a little bit when you want to screw down the pushers. They've been changed over time to what we know today, what you have on your wrist arm. It's a lot easier to grab.
Yeah.
They're very rare. A couple of tens of thousands to pay to have just the pushers. So you can imagine. And this watch is exceptional, not just by the quality of it, but it's fully accompanied by its guarantee and invoice and service paper from 1972.
Wow. So my question is, what do you expect this to go for, considering the Paul Newman one? I know it was owned by Paul Newman, went for that astounding price a few years ago. What do you realistically see this watch going for?
I think we're a bit too early to say right now. The auction is in 1 week. The watch has been touring for the past months. They have a very lucky life. They go Singapore, New York, Hong Kong, LA, London. So they travel the world before coming back to us, where we hold our exhibition starting this Wednesday until the auction on Saturday and Sunday. So this is when our collectors come for the sale, sit down, try the watches on the wrist, look at everything and give their bids.
Right.
But I'm hoping for a high result.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Wow. What beautiful watch. I didn't pick it for the money value. It's just it was like a really nice watch.
I mean, if money wasn't an issue, I would have it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
The dream watch, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so my second one is triggering my military thing. The number 125, the Tornet Ravel. Now,
sorry, John. Just a question on that, on the Daytona. It's funny that you say the pushers, the harder they are to use, the higher the value is. Obviously, because of how old it is, how vintage it is. That's just a side note. But how many of these are in actual circulation? Do you know? Are there many around in the wild, or
the pushers, or the watch?
The actual watch itself? Yeah, the watch with that configuration.
With that configuration, I couldn't tell you, but I think they must have been made in the thousands, but they're probably only a few hundreds now on the market.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And I'm being generous, to find and also to find a good quality one. At Phillips, we're really trying to have the best quality for a collector, to have a high standard. Because if you have one that has a blemish on the dial or no loom plots, or it could have been restored, maybe someone said, "Oh, I lost a loom plot. I want it to be redone, or I want to change something." It happens all the time. Some people are not even aware of what they have.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
So the difficult part is to find something all correct. Because born in 1972, you've had a 50-year life so far. So what happened to you in 50 years? Your hair changed, you wear glasses, you have plenty of things,
Yeah.
Same for watches.
Yeah.
You're talking about me then.
Yeah, and me as well. Yeah, and me.
But on that particular watch, the dial is the first thing what strikes me with that is how clean the dial is.
Yeah.
Like when you see one that clean, I guess like obviously it's an expert team who check the dial hasn't been touched, but do any alarm bells ever go off when you see such a perfect watch, or is it maybe just one what's been kept in storage for so long and hence why it's just a great example?
Very sorely.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. We check them very thoroughly. We're a team of about, how many specialists? Let me count. Maybe 15 specialists around the world between Hong Kong, Tokyo, Geneva, New York, London. And it's not just a one-man job. When we have a doubt on a watch, or we always have a second, a third, a fourth opinion. So we really work as a team. But we have plenty of tools. We have UV lights. We have, a loop. We dismantle the watch. We have a watchmaker that has a scanner. So we scan the dial. We look at the thickness of the component. We can look at the component within the metal. So we really go into great depths to check everything, because nowadays with social medias and internet, if we do something that's not correct, it will be remembered.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's amazing.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so the second one, number 125, please, Clara. The Tornek Rayville.
Are you a military fan? History
fan?
fan?
Yeah, I certainly am. I seem to have
This is very John. This is
I found this niche in being interested in military watches, so I tend to my Grail watch is a 5517 mil sub, but I will never ever own one because I know how much money they are. But yeah, I like stuff like this.
Well, it's good to have a dream watch. At least makes you go forward.
Absolutely. So if you can tell us, please, about the Tornek Rayville, please.
With pleasure. So we're in the late 1950s. The French Navy commissioned Blancpain to issue for them a wristwatch. This was the 50 Fathoms. Super good looking watch, fixed spring bar with the NATO straps. Everybody has seen one. And they wanted to expand. And at the same time, the US Navy was looking for a new wristwatch. However, since the 1930s, there is this thing called the Buy American Act that forbidded the American Navy to acquire a timepiece that was made in Switzerland or for a Swiss brand. So they felt they were a little bit at a crossroad, that they couldn't go forward. So Blancpain found a way to pass around that act and partnered up with a gentleman called Alan Tornek. Alan Tornek was a diamond dealer based in New York, and they found a way that some of the parts were made or assembled in the US, making it enough made in US soil to have it produced for the American Navy. That's why you don't see Blancpain on the dial, and it's written Tornek Rayville. This watch shares a lot of traits with the 50 Fathom. What's interesting, so when you issue a watch for military use, they usually tell you what they want. It's not just like, oh, this is the watch of our catalog, we'll give it to you. They're like, no, we need this and this and that, and this is very important. There are many other manufacturers creating watches for military use. There is Rolex, there is Omega. But in that case, the American Navy, they wanted a shiny watch. They said, we don't want a shiny watch, we need something matte. Because our diver in tropical water, if they were something shiny, then the fish will come and bite it.
Yeah.
So that was one of the main things they needed, something matte. Fixed spring bars, they needed a very easily readable dial and bezel that was luminescent. So here is the case. They needed also a humidity, humidity indicator, which is at 6 o'clock. Bright luminous hands, and I think I said it all. What I can go for that specific watch, it's very rare to find one in such good quality. This one was used by Blancpain itself for celebrating the 275th anniversary of the 50 Fathom, so it went on tour. And it's difficult to find them today because not a lot of them were produced. About 1,000 was produced because I think in 1964, 1963, the American Navy decided to stop collaborating with Tourneck-Rayville as it was too expensive. So some watches were used for the military, some that were still there got destroyed, and some of them were not issued a serial number that was used for the military and sold to civilians. This specific watch, if you look at the case back, there is no serial number. It's written serial number and then there's nothing, which means it was sold to some civilians. And yeah, again, some 60 years later, here it is back at Phillips in great condition. We have the extract. It's accompanied by an authentication letter by Blancpain attesting of its originality. So it's a great watch for anyone who's interested, like you, in history and divers. And
Does it? Is the bezel luminous on this one? Do you know?
Yes, it is. The numbers.
Yeah, the numbers are. Yeah. Because I know a bit about the history of the watch. It was due to be a Bolivar that they were picked, and just before they gave the contract to Bolivar decided to pull out and go with something different, which is why the Tourneck-Rayville got the gig. They then got the deal of 1,000. There's rumored that Bolivar didn't go for it because there was only 1,000 to be made, and they thought it was a too small a contract.
Yeah,
Bolivar pulled the plug, and that's when Tourneck-Rayville came in. So I know the Bolivar one has got a luminous luminous bezel. So I thought obviously the Tourneck would be the same specification. That's great. Thank you.
it's a pleasure.
Okay, and just on Tourneck-Rayville, are they at that time, were they an established watchmaker? Because you said initially they were a diamond dealer. It's a diamond dealer, right? Which is quite strange for the army to want a watch from a diamond dealer. But were they an established watchmaker at the time they made those?
No, they were not. They were not. I think it was really a way to have a Blancpain watch and to go around the Buy American Act.
Okay, thanks.
And maybe just one last question on that piece. How big's the price difference if it's a civilian issue versus like a military issue?
Very good question. You know what, if you give me 1 second. We had one in New York just this past June, and that was military issue. And the story is very interesting. It's like after COVID, this gentleman go just to completely like clear out of his house and go into the garage and find some not memorabilia, I would say, but find a watch in a box. And remembers playing with that watch when he was a kid. But funny enough, he has no military track record within his family.
Wow.
So he doesn't really know how this watch happened to be in his possession or his family possession because it's been there for a while. But it sold, the estimate was 50 to 100,000 and it sold for 126,000.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Be pretty happy with that, I think.
Must have been.
Incredible.
I mean, I know with the basic military watch that I get involved in, like the CWCG 10s, if it's been issued, it's a lot more money than the civilian ones. It's, I can see the increase. So I would imagine. Wow.
I mean, if you want to talk about 126 shortly, it's no, not 126. Which one is the one? 127.
Yes.
The Omega Seamasters 300.
Oh yeah, it's one of my grails as well.
You can see it shares some aesthetic with the Mill Sub. So the Rolex Submariner 5513 that was for the British Military of Defense. Some of those watches go for over 400,000, depending on the quality and the rarity of it.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's fine. Yeah, I think we're
in that case, it's an Omega, so it's different. But I was mentioning Rolex here. Omega, but issued once more for you guys for the British militaries this time. It was asked. It was based on a Seamaster, but they wanted something different, so it has different lugs. The large luminous bezel. It has a screwed down crown, and sword hands, large, bright, luminous. It has the circle T, use of tritium, so no more radium. It's not so toxic when you wear it on your wrist. This example is in superb condition. I mean, the bezel could have been broken, there could have been scratches, nothing is there. But what's very interesting, and that's where you learn about history, is when you turn around the watch and you look at the engraving, which is a big bunch of numbers. And you really have to read the catalog if you want to know what it is about. The first thing is W10, which is Royal Navy. Then you have 6645, which signifies that the object was used for measuring time. So hence a watch. Then you have the number 99, which is the NATO code for the UK. Then you have the 7 numbers, which is the NATO code that signifies that a watch was worn by a diver. Then you have the individual number of the diver, A312, and then you have 67. 67 is the year.
What's interesting is when you say that even though the W10 is as far as I'm aware, is the army reference, but yet in the blurb on the catalogue it said it was issued to a diver, which is quite interesting. Because W10 is actually W10 is army, so it's interesting that it's got W10 written on the back.
But you had diver in the army. You had divers.
Do they have divers in the? I don't know. I didn't know army had divers. Perhaps they did in the. I didn't know they did actually. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the Tornek Rayville. It's also for a diver. That's part of the army. Yeah,
right. Gotcha. Yeah, so it's a lovely watch. I mean, if I couldn't get a mil sub Omega, I think I'd have one of these. I think they're a bit cheaper, slightly. But it's a lovely watch. It looks in really good condition.
Amazing condition. So we've talked about condition. We've talked a little bit about provenance, which is also very important, which can affect the collectability of a timepiece. This is a great example that it was issued for a diver, a military diver, but he might have never worn it because the quality is still there.
Yeah, I must admit, 'cause you see some that come up in the right state sometimes, don't you? You know, some of them are really damaged, a lot of them. Absolutely, yes.
So does this look like it hasn't been used? Is that, do you think it has all the hallmarks of it not having been used by that diver, or does there any potential use there?
I think it's very hard to say. I mean, he definitely didn't go into a big war and dive. Okay. I mean, dive next to something very sharp. I mean, there's no hard dent or bang to it. He could have worn it also not while diving. Maybe he had a different watch for diving and this watch given, and he would wear it for processions or at home for special events. Okay. I mean, I do not know who is Mr. A312, but he takes really good care of his watches.
You treasured it,
Well done, Mr. A312. Yeah. Well, good job looking after your watch.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Okay, that concludes my 3 watches. Right. So,
okay, it's over to me. Number 28.
Right. Number 28.
Number 28?
No, number 28. Just 28.
Yeah, 28.
Great. Yeah. Going back to the beginning of the catalog. So
going way back into the catalog,
Since maybe I talk more generally about the auction. Since a few years now, we started to introduce independent watchmaker section within the catalog, which are distinguished by the light blue color. You'll see sporadically within the catalog, there's a section of 6 or 5 or maybe 10 watches, which correspond to independent watchmaker. This specific one is at the beginning of the catalog for a reason. Daniel Ross, the watchmaker, is one of the earliest independent watchmaker to set up his own brand, his homonym brand.
Eponymous, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Daniel Ross, he's a Swiss watchmaker. He studied in France first, and then he went on to work at Audemars Piguet. And from Audemars Piguet, he started working at Breguet. Breguet, he stayed there for over 10 years, I believe, and he was the head watchmaker. And he really reinvented the entire design language of Breguet. And you can see this influence in his watches, in his own brand. He was deeply influenced once again by the work from Abraham Louis Breguet. And one of it was his tourbillon. So he reinterpreted the tourbillon at Breguet, and it was the first time that a tourbillon was shown. Before, you would have the dial to cover it, the case back, nobody would see it. He was the first one to bring it out. And many high-end watchmaker or watch brand, should I say, brought it as well as their big timepieces. If we look at Daniel Ross' brand and his creation, he has two signature threads. The first one being the ellipso-convex case. So it's double ellipse. It's very particular. You don't see it anywhere else. It's round and square and rectangular, but no angle at the same time. So it's easily identifiable. The second point is finishing. And then in that case is the linear guilloche. So it's carved out of the dial, giving those precise lines. It's beautiful. Although it looks modern, it's also very classic in design.
Yeah.
There's the silver frame counter, elongated Roman numeral, the blued hands. So blue, the hands actually are stainless steel that have been heated up at a very, very high temperature to become blue. It's an art. You have the tourbillon at 6 o'clock with 3 seconds hand, which are juxtaposed of different sizes. So there's three registers, should I say, of the seconds. It's a fun mechanism, very enjoyable to watch. And it's called double-sided tourbillon, double-sided because if you turn around the watch, you see the power reserve indication and the calendar.
Yeah, it's fascinating. This is, I mean, to me, it's so unique looking. And when I looked into it, the reason I picked it was it's just so different from, and as you say, the seconds, there's 3 layers of seconds in different units of time. And then there's 3 different lengths of pointer, which is just amazing. So if the viewers get to see how have a look at this picture and how it's done, it's just incredible. And have the power reserve and date on the back as well. I mean, it looks like a separate watch almost, doesn't it, on the back?
I mean, completely. And what's great as well is not for showing off. It's for the pleasure of the wearer. You know what you have, and it's for only you when you take off your watch that you can see it. No, it's incredible. And the finishing, it's all about finishing on this watch.
Yeah, I'm not into independence, or I mean, I can't. I mean, that's a different level for me. But just when you see something like this, I just think it should be called out. It's just amazing. So, and also, do you get many Daniel Roths in your auction? Every would you always have one? How popular are these to auction off and?
So there are a few around. He made them in different, so you can have some in stainless steel, you can have some in gold, you can have some in platinum. We tend to have at least one per auction. This time we have 2, but I don't think we ever had more than 2 per auction. This time we have the tourbillon, and I believe, don't want to say something wrong, a monopoussoir. Here we go. Yeah, monopusher chronograph, which is about 229.
Wow, okay. 229.
Maybe another thread that we can say about Daniel Roth. Of course, there's his name on the dial, but there's also the case number. He writes, this is Daniel Roth, numéro 124, numéro 124.
Okay. Because he also assigns the movement and the buckle, is that right? There's a lot of little details on there that
So the
he
movement
puts
we
on his
cannot see
watches.
because there are two dials, but he usually for the tourbillon hand finished them himself. And the buckle I would have to check, but I believe it's signed. I wouldn't say that he was
I
a
got that from the
signature, but
catalogue
it would
anyway.
be- yeah, it would be DR or something like this. Yeah, for the
Yeah.
signature.
Okay. So
Like
much
a
detail
AP
there.
or a Rolex with the crown. This is what we mean when it means signed.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. That was an amazing watch. That to me just stood out of all of them personally. But
Yeah,
that's
it's great. Maybe one thing again, go back to condition. This watch you see on the side case band, it's been oxidized. People are like, looks dirty, I don't want it. Actually, oxidation is good. It means the watch was not worn, it was kept in a safe or in a drawer, out of the light, and it started oxidizing, and it adds more than it means, it wasn't worn for maybe 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, 50 years. The more the oxidation here is, the better it is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
So this
Amazing.
is oxidization is where it's like green, like a greenish tarnish, is it, to the gold, if I remember correctly? Sure.
Yeah.
So the only
like
reason is
your grandmother's silver, for example. You know, when you have to polish the forks and the knife.
Yeah. So I have an opportunity. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but I have an opportunity to get a piece, and it has this. So the guy who in question was thinking about polishing the tarnish out. So it sounds like the advice would not to do this, right? To keep the tarnish on the gold. Otherwise
I think it depends. I think it really depends to wear it. Okay. Maybe we have collectors who don't like tarnishing and they will acquire a timepiece and then they will clean it off. You don't have to polish it very hard. It's more of a cleaning than a polishing. Okay. But when you acquire a timepiece, I wouldn't say look for oxidation. But if there's oxidation on the timepiece, it's not of a bad thing. It means it's been kept untouched for many years.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. So yeah, that's great.
With pleasure.
Oh. Okay, so my next one was lot 59.
59. Sure.
No, not the celebrity one. This is the Cartier.
The Cartier Disco Volante.
Yeah. Disco Volante. Yeah.
Exactly. This is a Cartier from 75 in yellow gold. Rather small size, but goes with the time, the 70s, also disco 70s, Disco Volante. I don't know. I mean, it's a nickname, but we could put it together. Let's
we could put that in there, yeah. Make that association.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
This watch is here because of its condition. Cartier is very sought after right now. Cartier, maybe we go more into detail. Cartier, it's not much about the performance of the watch, but it's about the design. Design goes first, and then you find a way to fit a movement within. This particular watch has a very intriguing design with a stepped case and this impressive finishing, which is sun ray, little vertical lines that looks like it's radiating. And of course, the signature cabochon in sapphire for the crown. What's peculiar about this watch is from 75 and it looks unpolished, because if you polish this finish on the case, it's not coming back. It disappear.
Right.
And here
I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
Here it's completely strong, and you can still see on the lugs that you were obliged to do. You have the hallmark of the gold.
Yeah.
So this proves that the watch hasn't been polished, because if you rub it, I mean, polishing is rubbing a little bit of gold, a little bit of material to remove the scratches. The more you polish it, the less you'll see this detail. Lastly, maybe one thing I can mention, the dial. The dial is guilloché as well, in the shape of a rose, which is iconic for Cartier. Most of the watches you'll see have that rose pattern.
Yeah, it's just stunning. And it's very small. It's only 32 mil, but it looks a lot bigger, I found. Because actually, the reason why I picked this was I thought it reminded me of the Pebble. They've re-released the Pebble from the 70s. And then looking further into it, it was a Disco Volante. it just looks a lot bigger, and just the condition of it. It actually looks like you're saying. It looks very well looked after, but in terms of Phillips, in terms of restoration, do Phillips do the restoration, or does the owner of the watch take care of that and then give it to you guys and say, right, okay, I want it sold in this condition?
So we try to sell watches as is most of the time, because our collectors look for authenticity and great condition. We really try to look for watches that are unrestored and in good condition. Polishing doesn't mean restoration. I mean, anyone can polish a watch. I've polished some of my watches. It's normal because I'm a bit messy and I'm left-handed and I bang things around. Then there's heavily polishing. But if you have a watch that's over 70, 80 years, I mean, it's normal. It's been through polishing once, twice, 3 times in its life. So it's always very subtle. There's a thin line between restoration or not. Sometimes restoration is done by the manufacturer. So Rolex will restore a watch. Patek Philippe will restore a watch. But the important thing is to restore a watch with the components that were used at the time. Because the watch has to make sense. So it's like if you buy, we compare it often with cars. I don't know if you are petrol heads. We could talk about lot 40 actually, which is about petrol heads. If you have a vintage Ferrari, will you put new tires? Will you put new les jantes? I don't know.
Unfortunately, I don't have a vintage Ferrari.
But it's just about, then
no, you mean, I'm joking.
You want to keep everything original.
Sure.
So then there are great mechanics who can make it the way it was made at the time.
Yeah, keep that authenticity of the original design. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
completely.
So
and it's the same for vintage watches.
Yeah, so you would never, get too intrusive on anything like that, because this is it's an old watch from the 70s, like mid 70s, and it just looks amazing. It's just incredible.
I mean, I think I would get advice for someone who has a good reputation within the market, and I would ask him maybe get a second or a third opinion, what to do best. I would even go to Cartier. I mean, you're allowed to go into the shop and say, I have this timepiece. What would you recommend to do? And this will give you a peace of mind, and then you decide to go forward. But if it's your watch and you want to wear it and you don't like it to be completely scratched up, then I would understand if you'd like to polish it. I mean, it's your watch, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take off your glasses, maybe you don't see it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Best way, I think. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I wanted to talk about lot 14. I think, Parm, that was on your selection as well.
Yes.
Lot 40.
40, yeah.
Yeah.
There's condition, there's plenty of things, but the most important thing is provenance. So we talk about military background. This is something you cannot see on the watch. It's not written on the case back. It's not like a signature configuration. But this was owned by the one and only Eric Clapton. So
yes,
I'm sure you all love music.
Yeah,
I mean, the greatest guitarist on earth alive.
Yes.
Eric
Clapton. We'll talk about that later. Sorry.
No. Eric Clapton, great musician and great collector of vintage Ferraris and watches.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everything Eric Clapton touches, people go crazy about it. They want it. But it really could be anything, especially in watches. So now it became a thing where you have a watch that was owned by Eric Clapton. We mention it, and it adds a lot more to the collectability, such as making a big comparison here, but the Rolex Paul Newman, it achieved such a record price because it was owned by Paul Newman. He was the very watch he was wearing. Same here, this was owned by Eric Clapton, and this adds collectability to the timepiece.
Sure.
Next, we can talk about the watch. This is a bit of history. This is a 6034 Rolex Cosmograph, so it's a chronograph. This is watch will this is what will later become the Rolex Daytona as we know it. This is the OG.
Yep,
It has an oyster case, chronograph, the pushers, and a tachymeter scale, also telemeter scale in that case, but on the dial. The Daytona, starting with the 6239, will later go on the bezel. So it's all a bit more cramped, but still very gorgeous looking. This watch, though, was born with a black dial. So then we talk about restoration or not, or what happened. This was born with a black dial. No restoration happened, just time, light, humidity, and maybe a little issue with the varnish and the coloring and the dial. And magic happened, and it became, we call it tropicalized when this happened, a tropical brown dial. That is not just like one constant color. In that case, it's from dark brown to lighter in the middle. So it's really like goes from mocha to caramel.
Beautiful.
Another.
I like the way you put that. Yeah, mocha to caramel. It does. It's such an incredible. It just stands out, catches the eye. That dial. Just really,
it really does.
Incredible.
I mean, to me, it's the most gorgeous watch of the catalog.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Wow.
Okay, that's good. Good job. Shows it then.
It's very stunning, and the hour markers. So they have lume plots. So they have luminous material, so that you can see at night. This was white as well as on the hands, but over time it created a patina as well. So it complements perfectly the brown of the dial now. It's just like perfect, subtle combination. It's very, I mean, in Italian you would say sottovoce eleganza, like a light voice elegance. So this is, one of my pick. I would say the watch, also the case is in really good condition. Probably seen polish in the past, but nothing that would harm the watch. It looks clean, it looks good. You're safe to go.
Yeah. And it's only 36 millimeters as well, isn't it? It's. I mean, the OG was quite small. I didn't know they went down to 36. I thought they were 38, but
yes,
it's just stunning. And
so
I've got. Yeah. Go on, Clara. Sorry, you were just
sorry. I wanted to say, like, you wear your Daytona on the wrist. How big is it?
40 mil.
40 mil.
Yeah.
The original Daytonas, so the 6239, if we go to lot, I have one. We'll find you one here. So we have lot 84, which is a Rolex Daytona 6263.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, like yours, right? Tachymeter on the bezel, screw down pushers. This is 37 and a half.
Okay.
So 40 millimeter for Daytona, it's a newer thing that started in the year 2000. Before, or sorry, I say 2000, but maybe a bit before that. I'm not completely correct about when they changed, but the vintage ones were smaller and they're still very good looking. They look bigger because the dial extend on the bezel. So it's like you expand it as a play on vision, I think. But you're right, it was rather smaller. But I mean, I'm in for the smaller watches. I think
vintage. I think a large vintage watch would look wrong anyway. I think.
Yeah.
But, so, my first question on this one is it? I mean, it's an amazing patination. I mean, if you look up patination, that watch should be the definition in a picture of that should be in the dictionary. But is there anything unique about this piece itself, apart from Eric Clapton owning it?
Well, the coloration, I would say, is unique. I'm not going to say the next watch they made. So the one with the case number 907472 will have the same discoloration. This is just this very particular watch, and sometimes it happened. We'll see later on with Daytona, some white dial as well will change over time to a creamier dial. We call them pana dial, cream dial, that only certain serial number would have, because it was this batch of watches because they would make them in batches. It's not like Daniel Ross going one by one. It was a lot of watchmaker working at the same time. This is a difference between independent watchmaking and larger big manufacturer. So besides that it's unique, No, but it's dating from 1953, and find me another one in such good quality and that beautiful.
So, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It just stands out. I mean, every watch I've picked, I think, to me, just popped out of the catalogue. Thanks for all three of those, Clara. Thank you very much.
No, great choice. Thank you, Parm.
So now to Andy. So number
Ooh, yeah.
60, number 66 on page 79, please.
66.
Ooh, yeah.
Great. The Vacheron Constantin Mercator. So I want to ask you, Andy, why did you pick this watch?
So for me, I just love the beauty in. I'm going to mess the name up, but in Vacheron Constantin, I don't think as a Holy Trinity brand they get the limelight they deserve, and I think this watch highlights why they deserve more like spotlight.
Wow.
Like the enamel dial, and there was some great history about it, which I'm sure you will tell us about. But I really like the creativity with the map in reference to who the watch is for. No, I think it was Gerard Mercator, I believe, the German geographer. And I just love how the dials are designed to look like the tool he would use for mapping, and also the map of the face is in reference to the maps he designed. So yeah, I'd just love to hear more about it, but I just think that's absolutely beautiful as a watch design.
Wow. It is amazing. That is amazing. I'm looking at it now in the catalogue. That is amazing. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a work of art. I mean, truly, it's a real work of art. I grew up, my family are big sailors, so I grew up with maps. My father would always go buy a map and use the compass to calculate the distance. I mean, nowadays you use an iPad.
Sure.
But when I was a child, that's what my father used to do. And here, yes, so Vacheron Constantin wanted to give homage to Mr. Mercator, who was the first, should I say, map maker or man to have put the world flat on the map as we know it today, the map of the world today. They created that piece to celebrate the 400th anniversary of his passing. And there are different maps that have been made. You can find map of the Americas, you can find maps of Africa. This one is about Germany, and you can see also on the dial the neighboring countries. And it's a true work of art because you say enamel. Enamel, I'm going to tell you, is bloody hard to make. I mean, amen to all the enameler out there, because it takes a lot of time. And if you get it wrong, it's not even your fault. It might be the kiln. So in that case, you have, so you start with the plate of gold. Here we have cloisonné enamel. Cloisonné enamel, which wall enamel. So you put little wires of gold to determine the outline of the countries. And here they did for the time and for the minutes. You did that? Okay, great. You get your scaffolding. Then you put powder of enamel, which is glass powder, which you put in the kiln, in the oven, and you cook it. It depends which powder you put in, depends the temperature. So if it's blue, if it's white, if it's yellow, they all have different heating points. And you fire it, and then hopefully there's no crack. I mean, we all know how it's easy to crack a glass. So you do that, then you fill up everything. Then they started doing painting with enamel, where they painted all the rivers, all the areas, the signature, and they use all different colors. So you cannot do it all at once and you're like, oh, I've painted and used all my colors and then just cook it. Is one color after another, one layer after another.
It's
the last point is you add powder see-through and then you cook it one more time. If you miss, it takes 12 days if everything goes fine. If you miss one piece, maybe on the 12th day, and it breaks, then you have to start all over again. So no wonder this piece is part of a limited edition of 20 pieces. Because bloody
they had
hell,
enough,
He wants to do that,
They gave up,
We would use the entire country to make it. Everybody would be an enameler.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very few. Yeah.
It's not
yeah,
only pretty, then when you know how long it takes and how much hard work it is and craftsmanship, and then you have to be talented to make it look good. I mean, nice.
yeah.
Yeah, those art are dying, unfortunately, sadly.
Yeah.
It's
It's
great.
sad, isn't
So
it? I know it's with Patek, right? Patek Philippe do it on the World Timer, which is like a modern,
exactly.
iteration, I guess. And that's absolutely. I remember watching the video all about making that dial, and it's like for me, I guess that's another reason why I chose this piece is the art of watchmaking. So for me, when I look at watches, whether it's a patina on a vintage watch or the attention to detail on the dial, that's what I like about watches. So for me, I view them as a piece of art rather than just the possession themselves. So yeah, absolutely love that piece.
No, but thank you for choosing it. It's I'm very happy to talk about it because this is something dear to my heart. So this is great. And but what's great also for enameling, you can also find it in different brands. For example, a Tissot, you can find a vintage Tissot that has enamel. You can find many brands did it. Jaeger LeCoultre still does it, and they do it in-house. I had a chance to visit the manufacturer earlier this year, and they all make it in there, and you have the enameler, ladies and men working and doing fine finishing. It can be bespoke, and they do miniature painting. So they were doing it Gustave Klimt on a reverso, which, I mean, luckily it's a reverso, so you can hide the enamel inside and you can bang it around. But can you imagine if you have it out with the enamel?
Yeah.
And you don't have a sapphire on it to protect it or something. It's very fragile.
Yeah.
The other thing we can talk about this watch, okay, the case is also very intricate. You have a lot of steps. So if it's too heavily polished, or it's very hard to polish as well because you have so many angles to get around.
Sure.
Here they're strong. And the finishing of the movement, you see the Côte de Genève, you see the perlage, the bevels, high-end finishing. And what's difficult is the mechanism, because to have this compass hands is retrograde. Most of the retrograde hands we see are in the center of the dial to be with the crown. I have my hands in the middle, my crown in the middle. In the Mercator, you have the crown in the middle, the hands at the top at 12 o'clock. So you have to find a way to deviate the strengths when you wind it up, that it goes and change up there. I'm not a watchmaker, I'm not a mechanic, so I cannot tell about it, but it's complicated.
Work of art from the inside out, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. No, it's a great watch. Maybe not to everyone's taste because it's highly decorated and there are many colors, but it's great to study it. And yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Awesome.
Wow. Excellent. Now we've got Andy's second choice, which is number 96 on page 111.
Oh, this is my favorite Cartier.
Yeah, you've got to think about Cartier.
I'm addicted. I'm addicted to Cartier. Yeah, I got my first vintage tank, and it's got a really beautiful spider dial on it. It's from the 1970s, burgundy dial, and I've just totally fallen in love with it. Yeah, and the brand. Yeah, but the crash just blows me away. That's a dream piece to have.
It's an amazing piece. I mean, especially this one as well. In Pingo with those burgundy numerals, ruby, cabochon. It has this like aesthetic which just comes out, and very badass.
Yeah. So I do have.
I have a question for you then, if you like.
Okay, great.
So much. I mean, for the three of you, I'm going to tell you which stories. 2 stories, sorry, and you tell me which one is true.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just about the crash.
I had 4. This was my. If it's around the crash, I think I had 4 iterations of this story, so I'm quite interested. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Andy was going to ask you the story.
No, he was going to ask you the story.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, he was going to ask you.
No, but you go, Clara. It's better if you ask us.
Yeah. No, you asked us a question. That's great. You reverse it. You give Andy his question.
Yeah, some me not.
Brilliant. So, which iterations have you got, Clara? Yeah.
So there are many stories around the crash. The first one goes, so we all know the crash was invented, or the design came out in 1967, 60s in London. Arty, booming, music, everything happening. And they wanted to be in that arty scene and be appreciated by the new generation who was there at the time. So they got inspired from the melting clock from Salvador Dali, which is often said that the Cartier crash is inspired because it's like all licking to the side.
Yeah.
This is our arty Cartier interpretation of the crash, which goes really well. Design first, movement, technicity afterwards. First story. Number two. Number two goes, at the time, the head of Cartier, which was still in the family, and their designer had really good friends who was a race driver. This race driver loved driving fast. He drove so fast that it got, of course, into a car crash. He was wearing a Cartier Baignoire on the wrist, and everything got bitten up, upside down, roulé-boulé, whatever you want. His watch, his Baignoire, was so broken up that the designer got inspired to make a watch and call it the Crash. So is it number one or number two?
Oh, I thought you were giving us more. Three, I think you said.
I know. I can throw some more in if you like, because I heard another one that I think it was Louis Cartier apparently was visioning how to change a way of what, he wanted to get more creative with watch design, and he was imagining if he was to pinch for watching at the middle, it would create this shape. So that's one of the third stories I've heard. And then the fourth was the same, a car accident, but it was a woman who brought the watch into a boutique and they saw the deformed watch. So it's like four tales. I'd personally go for the Dali, I believe. That'd be my choice.
I go for number one as well.
No,
yeah,
I'm going for number two.
I couldn't see it something surviving a crash like that and just deforming, but not completely obliterating the crash. I can't see that happening. No,
I think too, but I wondered why a race car driver would wear a Baignoire, because it's such a delicate little bathtub shaped watch.
How would he
right?
bend?
So
how would he end up bending the crash?
That's the story.
Wouldn't it?
But the heat from the fire, of the engine on fire, it melts the gold into a new shape.
You can't imagine how it's going to turn out in a car crash. It just happens, right?
Turned into a Dali.
Yeah, you're right. I go for one.
We got Dali, we got the crash, and John, what was your reply?
Yeah, I'm going for another Dali. I'm going for number one, 100%.
I'm going for number one. Dali made watches, huh? There are some Dali sign watches, but it's not this one. This is number two.
It's number two.
Harm, you're the winner.
I won. I even wrote it out. Look, I got proof. Thank you very much.
So it's official. It's proof, then. It's not.
Yeah, that's official.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Wow,
That's a cooler story,
wow.
actually. That's a cooler story.
That is a cool story. Crikey, right?
It's a very cool story.
Yeah. I thought you were just asking us which one, because you wanted to guess which one as well. I didn't know you actually had the answer. Wow, brilliant! You've got the answer.
There you go. Yeah. Settled.
This has been recounted by. So there's a great book called The Cartiers. By an historian called Francesca Cartier-Brickell. She's the granddaughter of the late Jean-Jacques Cartier, who was one of the last, he was part of the Cartier family, of course, but one of the last CEO owner of Cartier. He was taking care of the Cartier London boutique. So it comes directly from her through letter of her grandfather. So I don't have a proof on paper like this, but this is her stories and we decide to agree with her.
Yeah, I think we believe her.
Cool. Yeah, it's a cooler story, I think. Yeah,
and that's great for our viewers as well to know that.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Someone like yourself believes it's that one, and it's because you have some evidence directly from the Cartier family.
Yeah, I think Clara would know a bit more than us about it. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
So, are you able to
because
tell
I
us?
studied very hard before that Zoom. No.
Yeah. Is there anything more you can tell us about this particular watch, Clara? This particular one?
Yes, great. So it's not. I mean, there are many things we can talk about. We talked about the origin of Cartiers, which was in '67. This watch is not from '67; it's from 1994. So it's a reinterpretation. The Cartier 67, it's London. This is Paris. Different sizes. This is smaller size. However, I mean, today to find a London sign one, it's hard to find. And to find one from 67, hardly impossible. Once in a blue moon. But in 1994, they re-edited the watch and they made a special edition for Hong Kong. Limited edition of 40 timepieces. This is number 33 of 40. It's in great condition. It comes with its original guarantee and product literature and presentation box. So it's full set. The Pingle with burgundy and red cabochon, so ruby cabochon, it is for Hong Kong, part of that limited edition. You will not see it anywhere else, unless maybe it was a special request from a very high profile client.
Sure.
So it has a piece of history about Cartier, but it also has a piece of history about its limited edition, the special material for the market it was made, etc.
Yeah, I think it would go for an absolutely insane price. I think it's fair to say, right, Cartier are extremely hot right now, I am noticing.
Yeah, they're in high demand.
Yeah. Awesome.
We have a few Cartiers coming up at auction. I know we want to talk about the monopoussoir tortue just afterwards, but we also have a cloche. We have a tank asymétrique. We have a tank à guichet as well. There are a few designs which are all great. I mean,
yeah,
it's just
the
incredible.
asymmetric. I love that watch.
Yeah, we all love. Well, Andy and I are big Cartier fans, and the asymmetrique is just simple but just beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Can you imagine all these designs they invented? I mean, they just went out there, and also the jewelry. Cartier has such a rich history. Yeah, I would highly recommend to read that book, The Cartiers.
Okay, I've seen
definitely,
that. Actually, yeah.
It's great. So, shall we go for our last Cartier of the day? 218, if you're happy to go there.
Yes, number 218 on page 242, guys. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Cartier was from 94. This monopoussoir tortue is from 1998, so just 4 years later. Both of those designs were invented way before. They are reinterpretation. What is very interesting, in 1998, it coincides with a time, it's just after the quartz crisis, the watch industry is just going down. But there are some watchmakers who starting their own brands. There's François Paul Journe. There are many starting in the late 90s to set out their own brands to reinvigorate watchmaking and show what you can do still with like handmade mechanics and so on. Cartier decided to do the same and started to launch a new collection called Collection Privée Cartier Paris. We nickname it CPCP. This started in 1998 until 2008. There's a variety of models. I mean, I can mention a few. I wrote them down. Like you have the tank cintré, tank à guichet, tank chinoise, tank à vis, monopoussoir tortue, tortue simple, tortue minute repeater, tank asymétrique. There are many and plenty more. They made more or less 3,000 watches a year. So if it expands for 10 years, there are 30 examples made of CPCP. Why they started this? Because at the time, they were doing a lot of quartz watches. I mean, the Panthère, you go in the shop. I love the Panthère. I like to have one. It's not manual, it's quartz. So they wanted to start a selection for high-end watches, manual watches or automatic. But the issue, they didn't have enough they didn't have the manufacturer to do it. They didn't have enough people to make those. So they went out and asked other movement watchmaker to make the movements for them. In that instance, the monopoussoir by T.H.A. Ébauche, which was co-launched by François-Paul Jaune himself. Later on, you would have watchmaker like Vianney Halter, who would work there, and Denis Flageolet. So Vianney Halter has his own eponymous name, and Denis Flageolet is one of the founder of De Bethune. So big watch brands today. The monopoussoir is a reinterpretation of the 1928 monopoussoir Tortue. The Tortue design was invited by Cartier in 2012, so it's continuing the tradition, but adding into the style of the time. This one has, so the monopoussoir Tortue would have a larger case in 1998 with one crown, which is also the pusher. So that's why we call it mono pusher, to set up the chronograph and the time. And they would bring different things like blue script that was more modern, a larger Roman numeral number 12. What else can I say? If you turn around the watch, there's a crystal case back, which was not happening before. This is the first time they put forward the movement, and all the hand finishing would be made by Cartier themselves in-house with perlage, anglage, and those cross C, not Chanel, but 2 C's for Cartier, which is so typical of the brand, as well as the engraving to say the number of the watch or Cartier. This was all hand engraved with a more classical design to show the high-end quality of it. If we go back to the dial, this is the first time we start seeing Cartier Paris. Paris as an homage to Louis Cartier, even though they were made in Switzerland. You also see Swiss on the dial. This example is from 1998. So the very beginning, they started doing the collection privée Cartier Paris. And it's completely full set with box, paper, outer packaging. I mean, everything you would get when you buy it in 1998. It's in very good condition. And the last thing we could say also for that CP series, they would do larger boxes, better material, a bit more golden. So you could go to the shop and buy a tonk in steel for 2,000 pounds, I think, and then they would present you another tonk, but chinoise is done for 8,000 pounds. So it was really a higher quality, which you could only buy in their retail stores. So maybe some shop would get maximum like 10 watches a year because they didn't do so much, and they have, I think, 300 boutiques around the world. But people would mostly buy them within the Paris and London boutique at the time.
Now, great information and an incredible piece, right? They say it's probably the sleekest looking chronograph you could ever have, really, because due to its smaller design and just the monoprosher crown as well. So it's a chronograph you can wear with a suit, I'd say. But I love that K shape. I think it's based on, like, they call it the tortue because it's a tortoise with legs or something, no?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love the romance with Cartier, and that particular piece is just absolutely beautiful. Just a question I had around that piece is, it seems to be gaining more and more traction. Like, it's getting more and more popular and more unobtainable. Like, when did you start seeing the trend with that piece? Like, when it started to really pick up? Is it recently, or is it in the last, when did that piece start becoming a hot product in the market?
So, I mean, I think I've been at Phillips for 5 years now, and I'm only 30-year-old, so I don't know from how long it's been dating back, but from what I can see or I've seen, I think it was 2 years ago, we had a Cartier pendulette, so a clock to put on the desk in onyx and mother of pearl, and the bidding just would never end. And the estimate was very low. and it just kept on going and going and going. And I was here, what is happening? I mean, on clocks today, it's very hard to have people bidding. It's a sports wristwatches, stainless steel. So when you see onyx, mother of pearl, Cartier wristwatch in a chinoiserie style, I was very surprised. And that's when I first noticed Cartier was, it was very collectible. And then little by little, more and more. And recently we had amazing result for Cartier Crash, and for Tank Asymmetrique as well. A bit the more uncommon designs, for sure.
So now's the time to buy Cartier before it gets even more unobtainable, I guess. Especially if you're going down the vintage path.
Or maybe you should have bought it 2 years ago. I think.
I wish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, now we've covered the watches. We just ask you just a quick few questions about your life with Phillips and your life as an auctioneer. What I'd like to know first is just a short brief how you got where you are today, please, Clara, as an auctioneer at Phillips, please.
So I started working at Phillips 5 years ago. I didn't start as an auctioneer. I started from the beginning of the ladder, worked my way up. I was our big boss, R.L. Back's assistant for 4 years. 4 years I've been his assistant. So now it's been 6 years I've been at Phillips, not 5. And just by being by his side, it's been incredible for learning how to work with clients, how to handle watches, how to listen to specialist talking. And I have a totally different background because I come from art. So I specialize in contemporary Chinese art. I worked in auction houses and contemporary art galleries. So I went to art fair. So for me, the transition, at the beginning, I was there, how am I going to talk about watches when I haven't been in watches before? To me, watches and art were very similar in a way to convey a message where you can understand it the same way or completely differently. And what I like about watches and the way I talk about it is about history, it's about provenance, and it's about the history of the manufacturer, the artistry behind it. That's why I like the Vacheron Constantin Mercator or things like this, because they're subjects that are dear to my heart. How I became an auctioneer. I wanted to be an auctioneer since I was 12-year-old. So it's been a long wait. Don't ask me why. I think I watched a movie and I found it so cool. It was a lady auctioneer. She was well-dressed. She had authority. She was traveling the world and she could see beautiful artworks. And I was there to tick all the boxes. Beautiful art, traveling, some authority of fairness, directing a stage, and beautiful dress. I was there, oh my God, this is the job for me.
Wow.
In 2020, we were in the middle of COVID. Our auction was coming up and R.L. Bax suddenly said to us, if I get the virus, who's going to be able to handle the auction? We had no backup auctioneer in Switzerland. Nobody could travel and come and take over. So we had to find a solution. So he opened the floor to anyone who wanted to join him and train to become an auctioneer. And I accepted the challenge and put up my name to be one of those trainees. There were 3 of us. There are still 3 of us. We passed the test, got our diploma, and now we're full-time auctioneers at every Geneva auction. And last June, I had the chance to take the gavel as well in New York for the first time. So this was very exciting.
No, well done. Brilliant.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really good job you do as well. Amazing job.
Thank you so much.
So just going back to your, I have another question, a watch question, but just going back to the background part. So you mentioned the chinoise on Cartier quite a lot. Is that because of your Chinese art background? Is that really, were you really focused on that?
Not especially, but I find the Tank chinoise very beautiful, I must say. It's a very, very nice design.
Just a favorite of yours. Okay. And then also, when we spoke before, talked about watch collecting journeys and addictions and the watch collecting virus. Do you think you've in your collecting journey you've got over that, or are you still suffering like the rest of us?
I'm suffering. I didn't find a vaccine yet.
No? Oh,
No.
damn.
No, but it's
My
enjoyable.
gifter.
It's enjoyable. I'm not gonna say I'm suffering. No, I'm enjoying the ride. It's great. I'm very fortunate to be able to see a wonderful timepiece. To in French we say sharpen our eye or sharpen my eye to differentiate quality from poor quality, conditions, provenance. So I really enjoy the ride so far. I don't think I'm a collector at heart. They're just timepieces I fall in love with and I want to have them. And my husband really like watches now as well. So it's a good excuse if I want one watch, then I say it's for the two of us. So it's great. I'm not forbidden to buy
brilliant.
them.
Works well, yeah. Is there anything you have your eye on now? Sorry.
You passed the virus on to him, then, haven't you? You passed the virus on to your husband, then, haven't you, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Pam. Pam, go on. Sorry, what you're saying.
Is there anything you're looking at the moment? Is it what do you think will be your next? Or would you rather not?
But I'm worried if I share it, then somebody's gonna buy it, and then the price
It'll
gonna
blow
rise.
up.
Oh,
go
from
viral,
your-
yeah.
okay. Oh no, I just all right. Forget it.
No, I don't have that kind of influence. I can share for sure. I've liked for a really long time the Rolex Explorer 2 with white dial.
Okay.
Nice.
modern one?
Yeah, not the brand new one because it's large. I prefer the smaller size one.
Okay. Yeah.
So like from the late 80s, 1900s. Yeah, I would love to have one. I've seen a few. I just have to commit to it. I haven't done this. I haven't passed that step yet.
Okay, so your Rolex journey isn't over yet, then. Either.
No.
Is it ever over? That's the question.
Is it ever over? Yeah.
One has to be passionate sometimes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, thank you, Clara. Auntie?
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think a final note to finish on. What's the most exciting moment of being an auctioneer? Like, what would you say is the most, when you wake up in the morning, it's auction day, what do you most look forward to? What's the highlight?
When I wake up in the morning, usually before an auction, I'm very stressed and very nervous. So
Okay.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm more excited to get over with, but when I'm on the rostrum, it's funny. When I'm on the rostrum, although I might take a more British accent or direct the crowd in a certain way, I feel myself. And it's exhilarating, it's exciting, it's thrilling, and it's you have to be very respectful at the same time. I don't know. I love the feeling being on the rostrum, and when you step down the rostrum, that's what I look forward to, because you're just high on the clouds. You had all that high adrenaline energy, that you feel good about yourself. I mean, depending how the auction's going, of course.
Sure.
This is not me who decides, but the bidders. But yeah, it's a great feeling to be up there.
Sure. Like a huge rush of adrenaline, I'd imagine, and then at the end, you just huge sigh of relief as well. No,
and for me, it's
amazing.
difficult because I'm dyslexic, so there are many words I trip on. So I have to learn how to articulate really well.
Wow.
Oh,
You do
Well,
very
you do a
well.
very good job.
Yeah,
You do a very good job at that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, brilliant.
Thank you. I just, please accept my apologies, anyone living in Missouri, because last time I called them misery, so I don't want to do that ever again.
Sorry, that's actually very funny, but no, sorry.
Sorry,
to anybody
Missouri,
who's gone,
Missouriites.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. The second time for my little mention then. Right, okay. Yes. Okay, that concludes the show for the moment. Thank you, Clara, so much for talking us through. It's brilliant. Really, really good.
No, thank you, the three of you. It's been a great pleasure. It's been fun.
Thank you as always.
It has been
to
fun.
Palm, and thank you to Andy for joining and making it so pleasurable. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Good night. Goodbye.